hello. Welcome to another episode of the Rocky Sports Talk Sheet. Today we're going to get into some big news. CP3, Chris Paul. Congratulations. After 16 seasons, one of the best point guards ever to do it, with a massive Game 6 win. And he played massive whenever the Clippers cut it back down to 7. He scored 14 of like the next 16 points, and just put it out of reach. Got him so frustrated that basically that's whenever Patrick Beverley during a timeout did his crazy shove on CP3 out of frustration. But CP3 drops 41, leaves no doubt, no room for error that there is going to be no choking here. We are going to the finals. And what makes this even more special for Chris Paul is he took a Suns team who forget about the NBA Finals and deep into the Western Conference in the playoffs. They ain't sniffed the playoffs for years, this Suns team. And all they needed was that young leader or a veteran leader like CP3 who just distributes and is the point guard. Like, one thing that I will say is a lot of point guards in today's game do a lot of shooting and not as much, nearly enough, distributing and controlling the offense. CP3, to me, other than Magic Johnson, whenever it's controlling the offense and stuff like that throughout his career, it's second best. Second best technically sound point guard of all time. A lot of people can put Isaiah Thomas there, but for me, I've always liked Chris Paul as a point guard because he is a definition of a point guard. Like Magic Johnson, he distributed, he took buckets whenever he needed it, and he had the passing. He passed it whenever he needed it. He knew who to catch fire with, the leg show. That's always been the same about Chris Paul. Yes, up to this point until last night, he just always had bad luck whenever it came playoff time. But he is the second best technically sound point guard of all time to me. I'm not saying that he's better on the all-time list than Isaiah Thomas and some of the other point guards of John Stockton. But whenever you take into account, if you know basketball and you know positions as a point guard, give me somebody other than Magic that plays the point guard position and runs it like a point guard's supposed to better than CP3. You can't. I know that he ain't been to NBA Finals until now, but outside of the playoff, and a lot of people blame CP3 whenever a lot of it just wasn't CP3's fault. Like the Rockets, James Harden down the stretch, whenever they choke leads, played like crap with the Rockets team. And a lot of the blame went to CP3. But I've seen too many years where CP3 played his tail off in the playoffs. And a lot of the other so-called superstars and all-stars on his team were the ones that were choking in later games in the rounds. They got booted out. That's just my opinion. I mean, I've seen. If you don't believe me, go back to the Rockets where I've seen, James Harden have these little hot streaks that he normally does majority of the time. But then I've seen in the playoffs where he'll go 2 for 20 from the 3-point line and lose the game whenever the other team didn't shoot that well either. But his Rockets team in the playoffs, and James Harden in particular, shot drastically bad. I've seen it. I'm not putting it on CP3. Not all of it. Some of it, but not all of it. That's my point. But I am, like I've always said, I'm a Lakers fan. But I am very happy for Chris Paul. And honestly, since my Lakers have been out, I've been rooting for Chris Paul, and I've been kind of hoping that he would get that taste of the NBA Finals because that man definitely deserves to be in a finals game, and I'm just so glad and happy and proud for him because he has worked his tail off since he's been in this league. And if y'all remember, years ago, not even that long ago, people were writing him off, saying this is the worst contract ever in sports, and that he's on his way out, and that he's at the end of his rope, and the contract amount was just ludicrous and insane, and he couldn't play up to it. Well, he just proved all you all wrong that said that, and he just made you all look so foolish. And good job, because I knew, yes, Chris Paul had his injuries, but man, whenever he's 100%, ain't nobody better to me than the Magic. Magic would be the only exception to CP3, in my opinion, at the point guard position. I'm talking overall, just as a fundamentals of a point guard and what their duty is. And I'll explain because a lot of people are like, well, he's not one of the best, this and that. He doesn't do this. No, you got to understand basketball. I played basketball, played on basketball teams when I was younger because I'm in my mid 30s now, so it's been a while. But I'm telling you, a point guard is to distribute the offense and get other players going, get them in their groove, and to control the pace and all that stuff. And CP3 does it. And he also plays solid defense. So, and give me a better point guard that can shoot better from 2-point range. Because inside, that dude is deadly. He's always been deadly from inside the 3 line. Like, shooting wise, I'll put him ahead maybe of Magic. Because shooting wise, in that 2 range, he's got a beautiful jumper. It is just Swish City. I love it. I don't like him shoot threes. I prefer Chris Paul to shoot inside the 3 line because that's where his percentage drastically goes up off on the offensive end, anyway. But kudos. I'm glad that not only did he just submit his team to the finals, but he put up a 41 point. He got his assists and all that, and he carried them. He basically put the doubters on notice last night, saying, "You all keep talking about choking the last several days. If I'm going to choke, if I'm going to choke again, if I'm going to choke again, how about this 41 bomb with some assists and a straight ass whooping for Game 6?" And he called it, by the way. Lil Wayne said earlier that because he's known Chris Paul since his rookie years in New Orleans, where Lil Wayne's from, and he's been a fan. And he said they grew like brothers his rookie year because ironically he had like a condo. They had a condo, and he was in the same building as him, and they just grew a brothership. And he even said, like, I guess after Game 3, after they lost Game 3 and we're up 2-1, CP3 told him then after Game 3 we're winning in 6, and he did just that. He called it. He called his card, and he wasn't going to let it go. There's certain players, and I think this is what a lot of people are misunderstanding and taking for granted with Chris Paul. A lot of the teams that he went to, I knew it wasn't a fit because of the other player, the other superstars play. Would not play well with CP3. I hated the James Harden experiment in Houston. I truly did hate it. Because I knew whenever come playoff time and teams buckle down on defense and it becomes more of a half-court game than this whole four-court game during the regular season because they're a lot more relaxed than in the postseason during the regular season. James Harden and Chris Paul would not mesh at all. And it's not, and I want to reiterate, James Harden's one of the best players of all time, one of the best shooters. I get it. But with Chris Paul controlling the offense, it is the smartest play on any of his teams, and they should have always known that. But a lot of times, James Harden wanted the shots instead of getting the other teammates open. That's what I saw. And In a lot of cases on certain teams, the other star player took Chris Paul out of his game, and the team let let it happen. The coaching staff, the owner, they let it happen, which I thought was the dumbest thing ever. Let CP3 be CP3, and if you're the other star, whenever you get your chance, take it, but don't overdo it. And I always thought James Harden overdid it with Houston with him. I'll be honest, that one with Golden State, that series with Golden State, if they just will let CP3 be CP3, they would have beat Golden State. Instead, James Harden took CP3 out of the game, the last 3 games, and just he tried to do his own thing, and in my opinion, he cost the series, not CP3. There's a lot of blame that's been on CP3's name, and especially in the postseason, where it is, in my opinion, flat out not warranted. You got to get on the team with a player like CP3. You had to get on a team that knew how to utilize him and let him be him. Let him control the offense, and that would be the smartest thing. And finally, he got on a team. Monty Williams and all that, the coaching staff with the Suns, and Devin Booker, Ayton, and the whole Phoenix Suns team fell in line, knew what they got, knew what to do, and this is what you'll see. And I always thought, like, especially within the first 5 years of CP3 being in the league, I honestly thought he'd had 3 rings. Yeah, at least 3 rings. But to not his fault, teams didn't utilize him right. And if you see, whenever they leave, what happens to those teams whenever they trade him away thinking he's a problem? They fall apart. Because they didn't do it right. Because they didn't know what they were doing. That's flat out. Let's call it as we see it. Let's be real here. You know, I mean, would you pair? Do you think Russell Westbrook and CP3 on the same team would be good? Hell no. Hell no. You got to have the right players on the team to work. That's just all there is to it. If you don't have the right players that are on the same page as one another, your teams ain't going to win. And that was probably one of the – I'm just giving the example with the Rockets because with him and Harden, I thought that was the worst place in his career and the worst superstar matchup of a teammate with him in his whole career. I knew it was not going to work the moment that team came together. Yeah, they did awesome in the regular season because, like I said, full court game, yeah, they can do good, him and Harden. But once playoff comes, it's always every year in the playoffs. It becomes a half-court game, and defenses step up like crazy. I just knew it was going to fall apart, and it did. The Clippers. Yeah, there was a couple of years where, yeah, that's why I said some of the blame can go on Chris Paul with some of those Clippers teams. Some of it can. Because some of those years, few years of Lob City, they did run the offense through him and let him and ran him the right way, and they just did not. They just choked in the playoffs. So he is a part of some. He does have some fault in those teams, the Clippers. But the Rockets, nah, no, not in my opinion. No, I watched the playoffs, and I watched those playoffs, and I was like, they are not utilizing Chris Paul the way they should be in certain series, and those series are the ones that they lose because they let James Harden do way too much whenever he is nowhere near on par as a point guard of Chris Paul. He's not on that level. And if anybody says otherwise with James Harden compared to Chris Paul with point guard skills, I will get out of here. Don't even join. Don't even watch my video. Like, get out. I'm just saying. Now, shooting wise, better. I get it from certain points. Now, mid range, nah, he ain't better than CP. But I just want to say kudos to Chris Paul, kudos to the Suns, and honestly, it's also good to finally see Devin Booker because he has been a superstar and one of the best players in the league, but just did not get his due either because he's played on shitty teams for years now with the Suns, and he got the exact right help that he needed, and look where he's at now. It's a beautiful thing to see. I'm just kind of worried with my Lakers next year because the Suns, if you think it's just a this year thing, uh-uh. They keep this team together with the Suns. They're going to be don't think they ain't going to be dangerous next year because they are. They could. Don't be surprised if they run it back. Just saying. I don't think they'll go back to back. I think they will win this championship. I do have the Suns in 6 winning the title. I don't care if it's either the Hawks or the Bucks, which I want to get onto that. There is good news for you Milwaukee Bucks fans. I know that Bucks fans were devastated and have been sad whenever he went out the other day in his game. But Giannis does not have any structural damage. That is the Giannis update that I have. There is no structural damage in his knee. He will not need knee surgery. He doesn't have a torn ACL. A lot of people were so worried, oh my God, does he have a torn ACL? No, he does not have a torn ACL. He doesn't have ligament damage. You know, it to me, it's probably just a tweak and a sprain. Now, would I rush him back for game 5? No, I would not. I'm telling you, sometimes you just got to give him that little bit of extra time. And sometimes, as a sports player, as hard as it is, as hard as it is, and this ain't gonna, especially you Giannis fans out there, this ain't gonna be what you probably want to hear. But I'm gonna tell you anyway. It's the best option for you. Think about it. Do you really want to take a chance? And there's one player and one playoff series in particular that you can go back and be like, do we really want this to happen? Do we really want to take this chance or this risk right here? And that's Kevin Durant with Golden State Warriors against the Raptors. I know it was in the NBA Finals, but do you really want to take that chance on getting maybe 10 minutes out of him and then having a catastrophic injury? And not only can he not play for the rest of the playoffs, but he's out the next full season? Do you really want to chance that? Or do you want to see if your team can step up for 2 games and Middleton and the boys, because they have some good role players off the bench too. Don't think they have scrubs, because they don't have scrubs. But, sometimes there comes a time where, especially in basketball, whenever your key players are out, it's next man up. Next man up, and the team has to come through and win some games without their star players. I would just say, if I was the Milwaukee Bucks, the rest of this series, win or lose, I would not play Giannis. Now, if they win this series and they rest Giannis for the rest of this series with the Hawks, which is what I would do, and I would take my 50-50 shot. I know it's not the best plan, but you got to think longevity and what's best for your team and the risk if you rush them out there. And where it could be not only the rest of this postseason, but like I said, if it's a catastrophic injury, if you rush them back, it could be all next year. You got to look at the future of your franchise. You got to just look at I would look at my team if I was the coach, and I'd be like, guys, listen, I know that Giannis is a huge component to this team. I know that y'all love Giannis, and this is just me speaking as what I would say as a coach on the Bucks. But I'd be like, he doesn't have structural damage. but we want to lean on the side of caution. We don't want to rush him back, and we definitely don't want, a KD incident like what happened to KD. We don't want to take that chance. And I'm just telling you all you role players, we got to step it up. Y'all just got to step it up in Giannis' absence. And if we could just close this series out and get 2 wins, then we will address and see where Giannis is at for the finals. And then we will go from there with the finals. Let's get him his rest. Let's get his knee, because there's probably at least some swelling from the tweaking. Let's get his knee to swell down. Let's get him the rest that he needs. But the rest of you guys have to step up. It's the next man up. We can do this. You can win some games without Giannis. Let's rally around Giannis and let's bring it home for him. Let's get it. Let's take it. Let's bring it home. That's the kind of talk that I would have, and that's what I would do honestly as the head coach right now. I wouldn't care if my job was on the line. It'd be the best move, honestly. Because with a tweak, I don't care if it's a tweak. If it's just a tweak knee, it's a knee. And this is why I'm also saying, yeah, there's no damage at all, but he tweaked it and it hurt. You also got to take, because I've had knee surgery. I tore everything in my right knee. Let me tell you, I'm only 5'10", and it did a lot to my body. You also definitely got to be on the side of caution with players that are like 6'9", 6'10", 6'11", 7 feet with with a hurt knee. I'm telling you, the taller players are the ones that are definitely at higher risk with a knee. So, just saying, Milwaukee, do not rush him back for Game 5. Because I will not be surprised if you rush him back for Game 5. Even with no damage. But he hurt it and he tweaked it somehow because he was out for the rest of Game 4. He hurt it. You're only asking. Like I said, if they pull him out in Game 5 and he plays Game 5, I would not be surprised if the next day my next video is Giannis is out for the rest of this postseason, and more than likely all of next season. And do you think I want to report that? No, I don't. I really don't. Because Giannis is big for the game. Giannis is huge for the city of Milwaukee. And as unfair as it is, Milwaukee's a small market team, not a big market team. You can't. These small market teams really cannot risk their star players like that, like big market teams. I can't do it. You just can't do it. You would not make nearly as much money those years if your star players were out in small markets compared to big markets. They'll still get their money. Not as much, but they're still going to probably make more than the small market teams with their stars. So I just wouldn't do it from different standpoints. So if y'all think Giannis is going to be out there Game 5, I would say no. If I'm a smart betting man, and if I'm a smart team, smart owner, smart GM, smart coach, I would not. I would just I would say, Middleton, you're the guy. For the rest of this series, we need you to step up and be that guy. And I'll be honest, even without Giannis, I still think they could beat the Hawks. Look, the Hawks are not better than the Bucks. Teams got to play better defense. Because majority of the games, Trae Young, yeah, he gets his points, but he doesn't score efficiently. And what I mean, he can get 30, but in a lot of his 30-point games, he's almost shooting 30. That's not efficient. That's what I'm saying. If they can play some smart D, Milwaukee, you can eliminate these Hawks without Giannis. I'll be more worried about my defense with this Hawks team. Now, if this was the Nets, different story. If this was a healthy Nets team, yeah. But it's not. It's the Hawks. You think you're going to have what happened in Game 4 with Clint Capella floating out of bounds, shooting jumpers and netting that shit from behind the backboard? No. Clint Capella's not like that. That was a one-time. To me, some of his shots were just straight up flukes, guys. Clint Capella does not have that in him, bro. Don't think you're going to have Clint Capella doing that again. I don't see that whatsoever happening again. And I've seen it too many times where this Hawk team can go flat out cold. If Trae Young is not doing well shooting wise, and I've seen way too many games where he'll go like 8 for 28 or 8 for 25, just not good efficiency at all. Seen it too many times, and that Hawks team can a lot of times look like crap offensively. I'm not hating on the Hawks. I'm just saying how it is and how I see it. And it doesn't my eyes ain't lying. I've seen it. So like I said, I would be less worried about Giannis playing, and I would be more worried about our defensive scheme and stepping up on D. Because even without Giannis, you should be able to beat this Hawks team in the next 2 out of 3. You should be able to do that. Okay? I'm being dead serious. You should be able to do that. If not, then it's on you all. Because like I said, even without Giannis, it's a tight series. I think it would go 7 without Giannis, to be honest. But out of the next 2 out of 3, I would still take the Bucks 2 out of 3. Exactly 2 games out of 3. I just would. I see that there's one game where, out of 3 games, I would pick Trae Young to have one very efficient game out of 3. I see that happening. That would be the loss. And then the other 2, I see him. He might get 30, but like I said, on 30 damn shots, which is atrocious. So just step up on D, and you all will make it to the finals. That's all you got to do. Seriously, Milwaukee, play your D. That's all you got to do. Being serious. I mean, you got it down low better. I mean, Clint Capella is known for his defense, not his offense. People, let's get that right. People are like, I don't know. People are telling me, oh, we got to worry about Clint Capella on the offense. Stop with that game 4. That was an aberration. Okay, that was a fluke, not admiration. I said that wrong. That was a fluke. He is not an offensive juggernaut. People, go check out his career. He is not an offensive juggernaut down there. He's just not. So just do your thing. Stop the shooters. Stop the 3, and you'll win. Stop the 3, and you'll win this series. You ain't even got to stop it. Just control it. Contain it. All right. In other news, like I said, good job, Chris Paul. Proud of you, man. Good job. Always kind of wish you were on my Lakers because, dude, whenever you was on other teams, I wish I could have seen you, play with Kobe, man. That would, dude. I always liked Chris Paul. Yeah. And this narrative, He was already in the top 5 point guard conversation, people. Let's stop it. Let's stop acting like, oh, because of last night, now he solidified himself as the top 5 point guard. He was already top 5. Get out of here with that bullshit. Chris Paul was already a top 5 point guard, in my opinion, of all time. Already. But yeah. I put him up here with, Magic Johnson, Oscar Robertson, you know, Isaiah Thomas. I would put him up there with him. I just would. John Stockton. I got John Stockton. Some people don't have John Stockton in the top 5. I'm gonna tell you right now. He was a defensive juggernaut as well. Was John Stockton? That's why I got him. It's not even really his assist. It's his defense that I love. His skill capabilities and all that stuff. Like John Stockton is one of the most underappreciated point guards, and to me, he's top 5 as well. But yeah, I mean, that's my point guard. Now, like I said, y'all want my prediction? I said Suns in 6 in the finals. He will get his ring. I can just see it. I've been watching this postseason. I've been watching each series, and Devin Booker is the primary one. He will not. Devin Booker's on a mission for CP3. That's what I see. Devin Booker is like, we are going to get his ring. We are not failing Chris Paul. And one of the things that I see is Devin Booker is so appreciative of what Chris Paul has brought to this team leadership-wise, and that he finally got him in the postseason and got him to the stage that he has been waiting his whole career so far in the NBA for, that he just will not. And this is from my perspective. This is what I see from Devin Booker. He will not fail Chris Paul in this postseason. He just will not allow it to happen. Because I see that he appreciates and respects Chris Paul that much for what he's done this year for his career as well. So I just think that Devin Booker, along with CP3, are both on a mission. Hardcore mission to win this. And I just think that's going to be too much for the other two teams on the Eastern Conference side to handle. Sometimes the will is what wins. And I think that the Suns will. Boy, I ain't seen it in a while with teams. I just ain't seen it in a while. This Suns team is different. And I just see them winning. So I'm going with the Suns here. Now, I have been seeing there have been injuries, and I've also been seeing some other reports out there. And I will say, some aspects, I agree with some of the players. And LeBron has been put out there this whole big thing with players going down and how he was trying to protect the players. There is a lot of complaining going on. I will agree that in today's game, in today's NBA, the players do complain way too damn much, especially for a lot of these superstars making $200+ million, over $200 million for the contracts. And I will say what Shaq's comments behind LeBron's comments are totally in line. I fully agree with it. Now, I have also been on here saying that, yes, they should have gave them a little bit of a break, more of a break, and not rush it back to Christmas after last season. But still, if you're making millions, which everybody in the league is making millions of dollars, basically everybody in the NBA is making millions of dollars a year to play basketball. If you can't go to practice, and then play a 2-hour game, like Shaq said, and use those millions to keep your body, it's not up to us to keep you in shape during your time off or your time away. That's up to you. Only you can make yourself healthy and keep your body in shape. You're the one that has to put in the work. But if you have millions behind you, there's no excuses for why you can't do that and for why you can't keep yourself healthy. Injuries happen. Is this the most injured postseason with star players? Yes. But also, in the time that they did have off, instead of going on all these vacations and shit, spend more time keeping your body up. Instead of in the off season eating all that junky food and instead working out, do that shit. That I will say, Shaq is not wrong at all with what he said. He's not wrong. Today's players in today's NBA complain way too damn much. They complain way too much on social media. I wish all athletes would get the fuck off Twitter. Mainly, that's their main one that they go and just act like little crybabies. But they need to shut the hell up a lot more because last time I checked, as soft as today's game is, officiating wise and rules wise, they're also making the most money of any era by far. So if you're getting paid a shit ton of money, way more than you should, in my opinion, and you're complaining about your time off and this and that, go get a real job like us normal folk out here. See if we wouldn't jump the gun for a 5-year, $200-something million contract. And see if we would complain after we received that as much as you players do. Because I guarantee you, we'd keep our fucking mouth shut and do what the fuck ever our job told us to do. But unlike you all, led by LeBron, you all want too damn much. But whenever LeBron has these 50, 60-point games and these really great games, and a lot of people tuned in on it, they said he will talk for hours after the game. He'll be laughing and smiling and stuff like that. But the moment he has a bad game, it's excuse city. Just accept that you have a bad game. You can't have a good game every night. No player can. Every player has a bad game. Stop bitching. Just go with it and go on to the next day. Stop making excuses. I wholeheartedly agree with you, Shaq, on that one. They complain way too damn much in today's game. Way too fucking much. And a lot of people hate what Chuck has to say whenever he gets on players. But a lot of times, what he has to say is straight the truth. Did you see in their era them complaining as much as today? Making way less money than today? Hell no, you didn't. And guess what? It was way more physical. Way more physical than today's little soft cupcake league. Where if I go on somebody's neck, blow on their neck wrong, I get a foul call. Back in the day, you can go up for a dunk or a layup and get a shoulder to the neck and not get the call. That's also a big factor in why LeBron's put up the stats that he has. I'm just telling the truth. Because his numbers would not be as close as they are right now if he was in the, in the 90s. Let's just go to the 90s. I think a lot of those and ones that LeBron gets attacking the basket would happen. Fuck no, they wouldn't. Fuck no, they wouldn't. He wouldn't have as many career points. Fuck no, he wouldn't. his numbers would be drastically different. Not drastically, but they would be a little bit different. Don't fool me here. You ain't fooling me here. I'm old enough to tell. A lot of people, I understand. A lot of people, because we get back on that. Every day I do videos. I keep getting this, and I keep trying to explain to people. No, LeBron's the GOAT. You got to give LeBron his credit. He's the GOAT. Okay, enough with it. I'm tired of it. I'm just letting y'all know. I've seen Jordan growing up. I was around. I'm old enough. I saw Jordan all throughout my childhood as a kid. Very, very young. Like I said, I started watching sports at like 4 or 5 years old on. And I saw LeBron. Telling you, two different positions, two different style players. But hands down, especially in a way more physical era of basketball than today's era, Jordan hands down is better. It's done. It is done. Jordan played in today's cupcake league. He would have got a shit ton more free throws, a shit ton more points per game. It would have been unfair to the league to have Jordan in this era. Unfucking fair. You want to talk about? You think LeBron would have went to 10 straight finals? Fuck no. Fuck no. Because he would have been on the Bulls in this era. I'm telling you right now, LeBron would not even have, maybe even have touched 5. Just no. Amazing player, top 5 player all time. Okay? Now, for the last time with these comments, I want to reiterate. Please stop sending me comments on every video about LeBron. If I'm saying that he's top 5 all time, that is not disrespectful at all. You cannot get a higher praise if saying a player is top 5 all time. That's an enormous, enormous amount of respect for a player and their ability. But also, we got to understand different eras, different players, people. I know everybody loves the GOAT conversation in the NBA. But you got to understand. Wilt didn't play against Shaq. You know? I mean, Kobe didn't play against Oscar and all of them back in the day. I mean, Jordan got to play a little bit with Magic and Bird. A little bit. But, I mean, different eras. You can't say this one's better than that. I mean, hell. In today's game, Pistol Pete. I mean, what the fuck? We forgetting about Pistol Pete from way back? Imagine what he could do in this era. Jesus Christ, dude. Where they actually have a 3-ball and shit. Like, I mean, we can't really say who is the greatest of all time. We just have an opinion. Because a lot of these players, the greatest in each era, don't play against some of the other eras. That's just facts. Now, like I said, chat, I 100% agree with what you said about the complaining and stuff like that. I'm 100% behind you. And LeBron, I'm somewhat behind you as well. I'm not saying you're wrong either. But tone back on the crying. Just tone back a little bit. Because, again, it's the player's responsibility with the time that they have off to keep yourself in shape as well. Especially if you're making fucking millions of dollars. You have no excuses, especially financially, for why you can't keep yourself healthy, eat healthy, and work. There's no excuses for you to maintain what you got to do for your job with millions of dollars to back you up. No fucking excuse. Do that with me, please. My jobs, I'd love you for the rest of my fucking life. I do whatever the fuck you ask me to do. I'd do 1,000 crunches a day if you fucking pay me millions of dollars. I don't give a shit. So, uh, I just want to say that again. We also have some other news here. Trying to get to this real quick. Uh, hold on a second. It came off the thing here. I had this pulled up, but yeah, not really hearing too much about Deshaun Watson. I will say that I don't think I'm still in the belief that he's not going to play this year. That's another question that I've received. I don't know. I don't think he's playing this year. Some people are thinking that it's so quiet that they're getting ready to settle, and that means Deshaun Watson can play after he settles. It's not that simple, people. I understand that there's a lot of Deshaun Watson fans out there, and he's a hell of a good quarterback. But even if you settle in court or don't settle or nothing happens through the court system, like I've given examples before, Ezekiel Elliott was suspended whenever no case, the prosecutor wouldn't even prosecute him, and he got 6 games from the commissioner. I'm telling you, with the severity of this, I just don't see where he's not suspended from the commissioner, with or without a deal before the season starts. I don't see it happening. People are thinking that Denver's going to trade for him. I don't see it. I don't see it happening. Now, in other football news, I got to get to this. As a Cowboys fan, it's good to see bad things happen to a rival. I'm not talking about players get hurt or anything, but some things I just don't. Whenever rival teams in our division don't get key players and stuff, I'm happy. But there's some bad news that just makes the NFL look bad. And I don't like this per se, even though it's a division rival. But the Washington football team, who still have yet to come up with an actual name for the football team, if you're wondering who I'm referring to, they were known as the Washington Redskins, but they changed their name due to today's climate of, yeah. So it's now the Washington football team. They were fined $10 million after investigation into workplace culture. That's bad. A $10 million fine for the culture of your organization. We know there's been investigations with like a lot of not so good things being said by women in the workplace and stuff like that. Like, just does not seem like they've been a good organization and has handled things the right way as an NFL franchise. That's a big black eye to me. I know it may take the back burner. It shouldn't. Because when you're fined $10 million, that's a huge fine for any league. But whenever it straight up says that it's for your workplace culture, some bad shit was going on in that organization to get fined $10 million. I don't want the Washington football team to get better. Okay? Don't get me wrong. As a football team on the field, I don't want them to get better. But I think they need a new owner. I don't understand why the NFL has caved to Dan Schneider, because the culture thing is the whole time while he was the primary owner of the Washington football team and the Washington Redskins before that. I think he's one of the main reasons why they are the way they are. And why he's still the owner and not getting the Starlin treatment from the Clippers in the NBA where he got forced out. I don't understand it. Somebody please tell me what's going on and why Dan Snyder is still the owner of the Redskins. Because my opinion, with what women have said, have gone on, and even with Snyder, with women, with Snyder acting towards them, highly inappropriate. Obviously, you found stuff in your investigation to find them $10 million. I mean, Spygate was a big issue at the NFL, and you only saw Bill Belichick, I think, got $1 million fine or less. Now you got a franchise fine 10. There's some huge shit they found that they're going to keep behind closed doors, and they're not going to put it out in the public. How is he still an owner? How have you not forced him out? Somebody please explain this to me. Because obviously, with him running the organization, there is way too much inappropriate shit going on in that organization. So somebody please explain. But that's the big news for the day from the NFL. Is also, there is no suspensions or loss of draft picks. Money will be donated to charity. Wow. Who knows? I mean, good for the charity, but no suspensions or loss of draft picks. Fuck that. That's going off easy. I'd be taking away draft picks, and I would be spending, if not firing people. I want to reiterate, people. The main thing that we've been hearing about years from was the Washington football team, sexual harassment to women there in the workplace. There would be suspensions and losses of draft picks for that kind of conduct. If I was the commissioner, if I found out my owner let this happen for more than a decade, you'd be out of my league. I would force you to sell your team. You're out of here. You're obviously abusing your position and power. And I wouldn't have that in my league. I just would not happen. Now, I think also Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's look. At some point, I'm staying on foot here, people. Getting traded to Denver at some point. I see him going John Elway and the Denver Broncos. I'm just waiting for the news, but I still firmly believe Denver is strongly in the hunt and is strongly talking to the Packers, and they're keeping it as quiet as possible because they don't want Adam Schefter reporting shit right now. But I think a trade is imminent for Aaron Rodgers to Denver. I'm holding fast on that, everybody. I believe you saw last year, the last game Aaron Rodgers is impacting wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. Could be wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. I really, truly don't think I'm wrong. Now, I could be. I don't think I am. I think there's a reason why he's quiet with a lot of his teammates and why he's quiet. Period. They're working on something. That's just my gesture. Now, I will say that Aaron Rodgers maybe shouldn't be as mad at the front office with Green Bay whenever, because mainly the main thing here with him is that whenever they told him, "Don't tell us how to do our job up here. You just go play football and go do your job." I don't think that's out of bounds or out of line. Now, I don't know how the tone that they used whenever they had that conversation with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know the tone because everybody understands. Sometimes whenever you say something, it's the tone and the way you say it that really can cause friction. So I don't know that part, but I don't see that as something that should cripple your relationship. I can see where you can sit down and want to talk about it, but to me, just my opinion, I've always had a problem with Aaron Rodgers because he's too. He just comes across as to me as one of the most selfish players in the NFL. If I picked just a me guy, I would put Aaron Rodgers at the top of that list. He comes across as arrogant and all about himself. That's just the way he comes across to me. Could be wrong, but I think that it works best for. I think it would be best for Green Bay if they did trade him. Because I mean, I wouldn't run a franchise with Aaron Rodgers. He's one of the greatest of all time to do it. Don't get me wrong, people. Just attitude-wise, I wouldn't want to work with it either. I really wouldn't want to work with him. He's not a team player type of guy, I don't think. Not saying that he isn't, doesn't treat his teammates good, but just on the field, he just seems like it's about him. And anytime, like I said, I've seen him throw interceptions or make a bad throw or a bad play. Too many times, every time, I see him make excuses looking at the other player like they're fucking retarded. Like I see it every year with him. And a lot of the times I'm looking at it like, dude, that was a bad fucking throw on you. What the fuck are you talking about? Well, I'm just saying, I will let him go. I don't think he's good for the locker room. And yeah, I would just go with it, man. Also, let me know in the comments. I'm continuing to get some of y'all sent some good ideas with trades. But staying with the NBA, what do you think some good trades are? A lot of teams are trying to focus solely on the Lakers. What they think the Lakers are going to be big movers again this offseason with trades and releases and all that stuff. Let me know what y'all think the next big trades in the NBA will be. Send me your messages. I'd really like to hear because I've seen some good ones out there. I already put out my opinion. I think some way, somehow, the Lakers are going to try to find a way, and they're going to trade for Bradley Beal for the Wizards. I think that's what's going to happen. They might end up doing something with Schroeder, but I think they're going to replace, and I think somehow, some way, I think Bradley Beal is at the top of the Lakers list in the trade. Could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. Let me know your all's take. I think Kuzma gets traded. They get some compensation back. I think there's going to be some trades. There's going to be some releases. I don't think Gasol's coming back. I think, Harrell will get traded. I think they're going to find ways to figure out how to get, that third wheel. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate y'all watching. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the episode. I do think the Bucks will win Game 5 without Giannis. I think they should all be close games without Giannis. I don't know if Trae Young's going to be playing whatever. I don't know how he's feeling. But if they do have Trae Young, I still think you can beat them. You just got to play defense, Bucks. Just step up your D. But without Trae Young and Giannis off the court, I think that Milwaukee can still survive this series, 4 games to 3. I think it's going 7. Either way, but I'm taking Milwaukee tonight, and I'm taking them in Game 7. So, everybody, hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Tune into the next episode. Peace out, everybody.